Back friends, we now start with assessment part 3, and this will be a practical illustration of how we go ahead with grading. So the section objectives for this will be to learn how to grade students in the class. So how do we start? We start with delivery of course. So teacher gives session-wise plan in course outline. Course outline highlights learning outcomes. Each session will indicate the learning outcomes to be achieved. Course will be evaluated continuously and will be divided into different components. Each component will be evaluated and marks will be given to the student. At the end of the course, sum total of the marks will be done, followed by grading. And a 13-point grade system will be followed for this illustration. Now let me make it clear. At the end of the course, sum total of marks will be done. This actually doesn't happen in this way. Each component will be graded, and then after the grading has been done, we go in for finding out the total grade point of the subject and then try to allocate the grade to that particular subject. Now, this is what we do in the subject. So, what we intend to examine and how we examine, this is first of all very important part as far as assessment is concerned. So, we would like to have assignments or projects, and we are giving weightage of 10 marks for it. The purpose of that is application and analysis. Now, see how we are linking it with Bloom's taxonomy also. Participation in the class will be for 5 marks, and this can be done by asking the student to prepare their reflective diaries, which we would like to take and evaluate. So this is done basically for analysis and understanding. Quizzes will be conducted for 20 marks, and this will help us in testing the recall. Now you can have 3 quizzes in which you can have best 2 quizzes marks, and that can be 10 plus 10. So we are using quizzes for testing the recall. We will use case study presentation or theme presentation with 15 marks weightage. This is being used for analysis and understanding. We'll conduct midterm examination for 20 marks. The purpose is analysis, understanding, application, and comprehension. And we'll conduct a final examination or an end-term examination of 30 marks weightage. And the purpose is again analysis, understanding, application, and comprehension. The total of this should come out to be 100%. So we are covering 100% of the course by giving this type of weightage. What parameters are calculated in grading? So we calculate cumulative grade point average, abbreviated as CGPA, that is program performance, given on the grade sheet. We also calculate semester grade point average, which is also given on the grade sheet, and that is for semester, for each semester. We calculate course grade point. This indicates course performance. So marketing management 1, it will have its own grade point. Quantitative management will have its grade point. OB1 will have its own course grade point. I will show it to you on the mark sheet or the grade sheet, which will be used in this particular exercise. Component grade point will be calculated. So component performance, that means grading for quiz, midterm, end term, presentations, will give grades to each component. The procedure of assessment and grading is announced. So announcement of the components of assessment and their relative weightage in the course outline has to be given. Description of components of assessment or expectation from the student in a certain component in the course outline is also given in the course outline. Oral description of a component and expectation from the student before the administration of a test or examination is also made clear to them. Administration of test or examination and announcement of deadlines for submission, etc., wherever applicable, is told to them. as far as assignments and presentations are concerned, or any practical work is concerned. Assignment of marks for a test, examination, submission, project work, or grade to project work assignment has to be explained to them. Conversion of marks into grades using relative criteria. So this we give them in the handbook of how we are going to do it. And grades are converted into quality point and multiplied by decimal values. This is also given in the handbook, which is given to the students. So usually you will find handbook in those institutions which are NAC or NB accredited. So in the beginning of the very first semester during orientation, we prepare a handbook and we give it to the students, wherein all these types of things of what type of grading are we following, what are the quality points, and what types of grades are to be followed during evaluation, everything is explained. Now let's try and understand this particular table. So if we are going to follow a 13-point grade, so the grades, when we say they are 13 in number, this is how it has been done. We start with D as a grade on 0.1 and F is at 0. So F is at 0, D is at 1, C is at 2, B is at 3, and 4, and A is at 4. Okay. Now what we do is we keep F at 0. By keeping D at 1, we go in for dividing it into two intervals. So we move back 0.33 from 1, so we get 1.66, and we move above 0.33, so we get it as 1.33. So what we are doing is we are keeping 1 as a midpoint and we are moving back and forward. Now in order to create 3 grades, we are trying to have a partition of 0.33. So 0.33 backside and 0.33 on the upper end. So that is how we have been able to spread equally on the left and on the right of 1. Similarly, we are also trying to move left and right of 2. So 2 moving on the left by 0.33 gives us 1.66. Now you see we have been able to create equal distance also. I try to explain this in the next slide. See, what we have done is we have put F at 0, we have put D at 1. Now we are moving 0.33 on the left of D, so we get 0.66, we associate D minus. And similarly we move on the right of D by 0.33 and we get 1.33 and we give it as D plus. Now the distance between D and D plus and D minus is the same. Similarly, the same procedure has been done for grade C. So we have put C at 2, moving 0.33 on the left and moving 0.33 on the right, we get 1.66 and 2.33 as the grade for C minus and C plus. Now from D minus till C plus, and similarly we do it for B, 0.33 on the left for B minus, so that will give us about 2.67, and 3.33 on the right, that will give us B plus. So what we have done is we have created a distance of 0.33 in all the grades till 4, and if we move on the right of 4 we get 4.33. Now let's move back to this table and you will be able to understand better. So 1.33 on the left we get 0.666, 0.33 on the right we get 1.33, and this type of grading you can see of how we have gone in for creating this particular table. The idea is that we are trying to associate some quantitative values to these 13 letters which we are going to follow, and how we are going to use it I'm going to show it to you in the calculations, and this is what we have done. Now see, we believe that intelligence is normally distributed. So that means the intelligence of the student to whom we are teaching is normally distributed, wherein there is some percentage of students who are on the lower end, and there are some percentage of the students who are on the higher end. and approximately we believe that 2.5% of the class is on the higher end and 2.5% of the class is on the lower end. Majority of the class is mediocre, so that lies near mean. So 1 sigma on the left and 1 sigma on the right. So that covers 68% of the class. And then there is a class which is moving towards intelligence, so 13.5 when we move towards 2 sigma and 13.5 on the left when we move towards 0.2 sigma. So the statistic says that if we go for 6 sigma standard deviation on the left and the right, that means 3 on the right and 3 on the left, almost 99.78% of the data is covered. So with that type of background about normal distribution, we try to fix up the 13 grades as shown in this figure. So at mean we keep C+. This is very important, and remember this, that we will try to fix up C+ at the mean, and then we start moving towards the lower grade as C, C-, D+, D, D-, and ultimately F, with a 0.5 standard deviation decreasing towards the left and 0.5 standard deviation increasing towards the right. And this is how we have been able to fix up the grades. Now anything below average is not good, so we have marked the left side as red, right? And ultimately F means failure. So anything below average we have marked as red, and anything above average we have marked as blue so as to differentiate, and average has been marked as yellow. So we are differentiating by 3 different colors to express our grading, that below C+ things are not good and above C+ things are improving, with A+ as excellent and F as poor. Now what will be the process that we are going to follow for grading? We will evaluate the test and award marks. This each one of us does it. For marks we associate grade. How we are going to do it? This is coming very shortly. Each component of subject, that is quiz, assignment, internal exam, etc. are graded and alphabets are associated. Then final grade of the subject is calculated along with the grade point of the subject. Semester grade point average is calculated, which is SGPA. Cumulative grade point average after every semester is calculated, and at the end of the final semester it gives us the cumulative grade point for the whole of the program, and that can be used to convert it into percentage. Overall percentage is calculated as per the formula given at the back side of the grade sheet. So whenever the university is giving a grade sheet, all things are printed at the back side of how we are going to read the grades, what does each grade indicate as far as percentage is concerned, and how the percentage has to be calculated using a particular formula that is given at the back side of the grade sheet. Now let's come to an example. So first what I do is I show you the marks. As a teacher, I have gone in for evaluating my students out of 20, and this is a midterm examination marks of marketing section B, right? So these marks are out of 20 which I have calculated. So this thing you all do in your teaching life. Now once marks have been given, now we go in for understanding how grading is to be done. So for the marks, what you will do is you will go in for first of all calculating, this is the sheet which needs to be used for that particular marks. So for the marks, what you are going to do is you are going to calculate the mean, median, mode. Basically we need mean, we need standard deviation, we need minimum and maximum. These are the points which usually we need: minimum, maximum, mean and standard deviation, right? So using mean, standard deviation, minimum and maximum, we are now going to start with grading. And how do we do it? Let's try to understand this. So the marks which I gave to my students, they are listed here, and absent has been taken as 0 because he has not appeared, and ultimately on papers we show him to be absent, but actual marks awarded are 0. So these are the marks of the student which have been given, right? So you can see this. We have gone in for calculating the average and the standard deviation the way I had shown it to you. And now what we do is we have to calculate these intervals which I was talking of in the normal distribution table. So I am going to calculate mean. Mean is to be associated as the midpoint of this normal distribution, and then we are going to calculate 0.5 standard deviation minus 1 standard deviation towards the left, so on, and on the right also we are going to calculate this. So C plus is to be associated with the mean, and C plus is basically average, and hence we had also gone in for calculating the average. Now see here, try to understand this. We calculate the interval using the formula mean plus standard deviation into 0.5 or 1 or 1.5 or 2. So I have gone in for giving this as a factor. So you can see the factor 0, minus 0.5, minus 0.1, minus 1.5, minus 2, minus 2.5, minus 3. So this is on the left. And similarly 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 are on the right. So standard deviation, factor into standard deviation. So this is the product of these two columns, and we get this. Mean has been calculated, and mean plus factor into standard deviation gives us the limits where we are going to find what is mean plus 0.5 standard deviation, mean plus 1 standard deviation, mean plus 1.5 standard deviation. These are those values. Now what we do is when you evaluate the papers, you don't go in for giving these types of marks 12.78. So you have to now start using your judgment, wherein you will say either I am going to use 12 or I am going to use 13. So a lenient teacher can say that I go in for using my mean as 12, right? So and a strict teacher may go in for saying I will go in for using my mean as 13. So he goes in for keeping the average of the class on the higher side. So strict teacher will try to keep the average of the class on the higher side because he has higher expectations, and the lenient teacher will go in for keeping the average of the class on the lower side. He would like to help the students, right? And similarly 12 can also be taken as a moderate grading. So what we have done is we have tried to keep C plus on 13. This is for strict grading. And then if you see the difference 11.52 and 12.78, the difference is almost 1.2. So you can say I'm going to take a discrete value of 1, right? Because it is out of 20. So 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 and 7 are the values which you are trying to associate to those limits which we calculated using the formula. So we usually don't go in for giving marks like 6.3, 6.4. We give marks like 6, 6.5, 7. So there is a difference of 0.5 usually which we can use. But none of us uses marks like 1.25, 1.35. Hence what we have done is we have gone in for taking the difference of 1. Now if you are evaluating out of 100, this difference can be of 3 to 4 marks. Since it is being calculated out of 20, so this difference is coming out to be small. Anyhow, so we keep the mean at 13 and then we go in for spreading the marks towards the lower side and towards the higher side in this particular manner. Similarly, if you go in for having mean at 12, you can go in for giving marks like this. And a lenient teacher can say that I gave B minus at 12. So that means he is now trying to give a higher grade at an average which he goes in for deciding. So if you go in for deciding a higher grade at the average which you have decided, you are then showing leniency in your class. And that is how grading is different from marking. In marking, 12 means 12 and 13 means 13. But in grading, through the judgment of the teacher, he can go in for associating a higher grade at an average, thereby giving better grades to an average student, thereby becoming lenient. And that is where criticism of grading came when we were watching the movie by E. Pathshala. Right now, how this can be taken care of by two teachers teaching in different sections, that I will also showcase to you. So once you have gone in for allocating the grades, you say for 13 I am going to give C plus, for 12 I am going to give C, for 11 I am going to give C minus. Now you only have to go in for allocating these grades to the marks which have been obtained by the student. Now how do you start doing this? You say anyone below 8 is fail, right? So see here, anyone below 8 is fail. So you say 7 to 7.9. So someone has got 7.5, you will treat him as fail unless you decide to round off 0.5 to a higher number. Now rounding off to a higher number again shows that you are becoming lenient towards student, because you are giving benefit to the student of 0.5, which is coming through rounding off. So we start like this, that 7 to 7.9 will be treated as fail, 8 to 8.9 will be given as D minus, 9 to 9.9 will be given as D, 10 to 10.9 will be given as D plus. If you are keeping average at 13, see here, 13 is being given C plus, right? So 12 to 12.9 will be given C, and then 13 to 13.9 will be given C plus, 14 to 14.9 will be given B minus. Now why I am saying 14 to 14.9? Because you may be giving marks like 14.5. So 14.5 will then be given as B minus. So what you have done is, you have gone in for deciding your grading scheme in this manner. And I have given you three scenarios. If you are strict, you will give C plus at a higher marks. If you are moderate, you are giving C plus, you are keeping mean as the same, but at lower marks. But if you are very lenient, you are giving a higher grade at a lower average. Now this is a lenient teacher, right? So just see this, higher grade at 12, and you are considering average not as 13, but you are also decreasing the average to 12. Here a moderate teacher is, he says I will keep the average at C plus, so C plus will be the center point, but this I will associate with 12. A strict teacher says C plus will be a center point, but I will give it at 13. So he goes in for increasing the bar. And that's how these three scenarios have been discussed for strict, moderate and lenient. Right? So you go in for grading like this. Once your grading scheme is ready, now you only have to go in for allocating the grades here in this particular column. Okay, so you can see I have gone in for giving marks like 16.5. So the 16.5 is to be taken care of as a strict teacher. You will go in for finding that 16.5 is coming here, right? Now this is B plus. So this person will then get grade of B plus. I hope this is clear. Now I move on to a scenario where there are two teachers teaching the same subject, or there are three teachers teaching the same subject in different sections. And usually we go in for following this policy of giving different teachers in different sections if we want to create competition among teachers so that students are benefited. Right? So the principal may decide that I will not like to give all the three sections to one teacher. That's the decision of your director or principal. So how do we go about this? So you will first of all go in for finding out the mean, standard deviation, range, highest and lowest for say class A. This is section A, right? And it is showing the same type of calculations. We are having the factors from 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5. This is the spread of the standard deviations towards on the higher side and spread of standard deviations towards the lower side till -3. So standard deviation is 2.8116. Just you have put here, multiply standard deviation with the factor, so it becomes 0.5 sigma, 1 sigma, 1.5 sigma, 2 sigma. This is how we have gone in for calculating this, right? So this is a simple multiplication. You have gone in for finding the average, so this is your mean, 9.36. Now you may go in for saying, I will round it as 9, and a lenient teacher may say that, a lenient teacher will say it as 9, and a strict teacher can say, I will take mean as 10. Okay. So in this case, we have taken the average as 9. So section A result is like this. Section A marks are like this, that it is having mean of 9.36. It is having standard deviation of 2.8116. So what he does is, he goes in for taking his grade C plus at 9. Right, so this is a strict teacher, and a lenient teacher is taking grade of B minus at 9. Now he starts moving up because approximately there is a difference of 1.4, and then this difference is again say 1.4. Right, so he has taken this difference as 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? And then he starts increasing the grades as C plus, B minus, B, B plus, A minus, A, and A plus. Similarly, on the lower side, he has given the grades as C, C minus, D plus, D, D minus, and his failure starts below 4. His failure starts below 4 if he is following this grading, where he is taking the middlemost grade of C plus at 9. A lenient teacher can say that I take B minus at 9, and he goes in for, see what has happened, his A plus has come 14 and above, he is going to give A grade, right? And till 3 he is taking D minus, so he is not failing anyone, he is not giving a grade of F till 3 also. So this is how lenient teacher is working in class A, right? So I have given you two scenarios here. By showing you option 1 and option 2. Now in section B, let's see. In section B, the average is 12.35. Now see here. Here average is 9.36. Here the grading has been done, or marking has been done very strictly, because its overall average of the class is low. If you see the highest also, it is 16. And here highest is 18. So this teacher of class B is relatively lenient as compared to the teacher of class A. Now it can happen, and it usually happens when I am sitting in my office. So the students of this class A will come, sir, the paper was same, but we have suffered in the hands of the teacher because he has been very strict, and this is going to affect our grades, and we will not be able to achieve higher marks, and ultimately we will become laggards as far as performance is concerned. Right? Now, how to overcome this? Now, when we sit together and I ask the teachers to bring their marks to me, I ask them about this. At what marks did you give the center grade? Right, so C plus was given at what marks, and accordingly what type of spread has been created. Similarly, in this class, C plus has been given at 12, right? So what we need to do is, we need to share the mean values, and we have to ask the teacher to put C plus at those mean values, right? So what happens is, in class B, the higher grade will start from 18, whereas in class A, the higher grade has started from 15. So even if this teacher is lenient, we have created a situation that he will be able to give a higher grade at higher marks. So a student who is scoring 18 and above will be able to get A plus, whereas in his class, a student scoring 15 will get A plus. And now the student who has scored 15 is at par with the student who has scored 18 in the other class. So it is important while you are grading, you can bring equivalence in the classes by allocating the centermost average grade at the mean of that particular class. Right. So here mean is 12.35. So we have taken it as 12. Here mean is 9.36. So we have taken it at 9. So now these two classes are at equal level, wherein one teacher who has been lenient and the other teacher who has been strict. By grading process, we have been able to bring them at par, and now the students cannot say that the other teacher has been lenient and he has given higher grades to the students, and in class A the teacher has been strict and he has given us a poor grade. No, this won't happen, because by looking at the averages, you have started your average grading of C plus, and then you have gone in for spreading the grades from there in a manner that you have been able to take care of that leniency, right? So this is very important, that the two teachers sit together, they go in for discussing their average, share your mean value and grade, and follow the 13-point scale by starting from the midpoint and then spreading upwards and downwards using those grades. So by grading, we are able to then bring people at par. In marking system, this would have been a problem. In marking, 18 is higher than 15, and therefore that student who has scored 18 will get marks because the teacher was lenient. In grading, this has been taken care of. So I hope you will appreciate that when we use grading, we basically talk of the quality and we do not go by marks. And in our society, grading has been mainly brought for the reason that marks oriented society puts a lot of pressure on our students. Now let's move ahead and try to understand how do we go in for grading the subject. We started by saying that we need to first of all tell the students of what all components we are going to use. So we said we will have our subject divided into assignments, participation, quizzes, case study, midterm examination, end term examination, and we have gone in for giving the weightage of 10%, 5%, and I said if you want to go in for having best 2 out of 3 quizzes, you can give 10 and 10 marks for the 2 best quizzes, and we will go in for grading the quiz of the student in that way. And case study is 15%. Midterm examination 20%, end term examination 30%. Now grades given by the faculty, we have now understood how we have given B plus, A, C plus, or D or B. We follow the same procedure as I have just now covered in my previous slides. And now we have to go in for calculating the final grade of the subject. We have gone in for evaluating him over these components, right? So I showed how I graded a student for midterm. The same thing can be calculated by you for different components which are there in that particular exam, right? Now one example which we are taking here is that a student has got grades of B plus in assignment, A in participation, C plus and D are the 2 grades in quizzes, B has been obtained in case study, D has been obtained in midterm, and B plus has been obtained in the end term exam. Now we have to calculate his grades, and this is one table which you are going to use, and this table clearly shows what type of weightages have been given to different alphabets. So if we are talking of A plus, which is at 0.13 on the scale, so if you are given a weightage of 5%, it becomes 13 into 0.05, so 0.65 is the weightage. If you are given 10% weightage, it becomes 13 into 0.10, so it becomes 1.30. So you are creating a matrix by multiplying these grade points with the weightage which you are trying to give in that particular course, and you are going to obtain this particular matrix. Now how do we calculate the final grade of this particular subject? So let us see. For assignment, the weightage was 10% and the student got B plus. At 10%, and B plus C, what is the value? It is coming out to be 1. Just see the cursor of my mouse. We have given 10% weightage and the grade is B plus. So we get 1 here, and this 1 has been placed here in the calculation of the final grade at the top. Now for participation, the student has got A grade and the weightage was 5. So A grade weightage was 5 and he has got A grade, so it becomes 0.60. Now see here, I have put 0.60. Okay, I will discuss one more. Then for quizzes, he has got C plus and D, right? So let's see, the weightage is 10% and C plus and weightage is 10%, so we get 0.35. For D, the weightage is 10%, so take D here and weightage is 10%, so 0.30, right? So we have got 0.30 here, and C plus 10%, C plus at 10%, 0.70 here. So 0.70 and 0.30 are the numbers which we have given for C plus and D here, right? So similarly, we have gone in for giving the other numbers. We have gone in for giving it a total. And now it is given here to arrive at the final grade point for the course. The total of the points should be divided by 3. So we have gone in for doing the total and then we have gone in for dividing by 3. So this is given here and therefore that particular aspect has been followed. So we get the average of 2.52. Now 2.52 falls in the scale of 1.67 and 2.66 here. Just see. So it says for assigning the letter grade, the following scheme may be followed. So 1.67 to 2.65, the grade is C, and this 2.52 follows in this particular interval of 1.67 to 2.65, and hence we have gone for writing C as the grade for this particular subject. So this is how we go in for calculating the overall grade of the subject under discussion. I discuss the same grading for the same subject by using a simpler way. Now you have already understood how we calculated these points from 0.66 to 1.33. I showed you through on a straight line of how 0.33 on the left and 0.33 on the right was added, and we have gone in for creating this particular table 4. Now we have to go in for calculating the final grade of this subject. So what we have done is, assignment has got B plus. Now B plus is having how much? It is having 3.33. So this 3.33 is there. What is the weightage? It is 10%. 10% means 0.1. So 0.1 into 3.33. Now here for participation weightage is 5%. 5% is 0.05. And he has been able to get grade A, and grade A is having the value as 4. So 0.05 into 4. Now similarly you go in for multiplying for other components and you get straight away 2.52, and using this table again it says between 1.67 to 2.65 the grade is C. So this C has again come in that particular manner, and this is a relatively simpler way of giving the grade for that particular subject. So I have helped you understand how to use this table 4 and how to use this conversion table, which is showing the weightage matrix to calculate the same grade. Now once the grades are calculated on the grade sheet, this is how it looks like. Analysis of macroeconomics, the credits are given. So these credits are coming from the curriculum development, where we have gone in for allocating the credit, giving the weightage to each subject, and these points have been calculated in the same manner as we have gone in for calculating this 2.52. So this 2.52 is the grade point which we are talking of as far as these points are concerned. And these are the grades which we calculated for the subject, like we have calculated C here for this particular subject. So all these things are then written in the award list, right, in the final mark sheet of the student. Now it is having two more components, grade point average. So this grade point average is the average of these points of the subject, right? And then again, using the table, we go in for giving the final grade. So if it is 3.469, 3.469 follows in this, so he is getting a grade B. This is how it has been given, right? So again, that weightage table is being seen, and what we have gone for giving the intervals at the bottom of this table, and this interval is then used. So for 3.67 to 4.33 it will be A, 2.67 to 3.66 it will be B. This particular interval is then being used, right? Now what we do is, we would now like to understand the concept of SGPA and CGPA, because that is again a very important concept, and I will like to explain you that concept also in this particular video. What I have done is, I have gone in for transferring that grade sheet here on the Excel sheet, and I am now going to discuss about how we are going to calculate GPA, how we are going to calculate SGPA, right, and how we are going to calculate CGPA. So just see here. SGPA option 1. Now why I have written option 1? Because in our grade, in our award list, or in our grade sheet which is being given to the student, all subjects were having 3 credits. So things became very easy, right? And in order to avoid confusion regarding calculation of GPA and SGPA, I have taken another option 2, so as to differentiate between them. So as told to you, grade point average will be the average of these grade points. So we go in for adding them. The total comes out to be 24.283, and then we divide it by the number of subjects, and we get this particular value. So it is sum of the grade points of subject divided by number of subjects. Now you can say, sir, for SGP also this is coming out to be the same, whereas the method of calculating is different. What we have done is, we have multiplied column A with column B to get the product AB, and then we have gone in for doing the total, and then we have gone in for dividing this total with the total number of credits, and ultimately we have gone in for getting the value of SGPA. Now since the credits are equal, this value happens to be same, but actually if we go through the option 2, we will find the difference. Now what I have done is, I have deliberately gone in for changing the credits here. So credits become 24 with 4 credits for some subjects, but the grade points are the same. So grade points is the way which we have learnt just now in the slides. So grade points are the same, but the credits are different. So in this case, your product here in XY column is now coming out to be different, right? So what you do is, you divide this product with this total number of credits, and you get this SGPA as 3.49917, whereas the grade point will remain the same as 3.469, because it is the average of the grade points of that particular subject. So grade point is 3.469, but your SGPA now is different. In this case it is 3.49, whereas here it was 3.46. So I hope you will understand how GPA has been calculated and how semester grade point average has been calculated. It's basically a concept of weighted mean, which we teach in statistics. Now how SGPA is different from CGPA? As the name suggests, cumulative means over a period of time. So what has a cumulative? If we talk of SGPA and CGPA in semester 1, they will be same, because we have only seen the performance of the first semester. So you won't be able to find the difference between SGPA and CGPA in the very first semester. But this difference starts appearing in the second semester onwards, because you will find that the cumulative number of subjects studied by the student now has increased, and hence his cumulative grade point average will also be different. So how do we calculate this? So first thing is, we have calculated SGPA for for semester 1 and for semester 2 in the same way as explained to you above, right? So this is the same way which the same way has been followed to calculate SGPA as done before. But once you have 2 award list of semester 1 and semester 2, now see what we are trying to do. We are writing all the subjects and their grade points, right? So till second semester the student has gone in for studying 14 subjects. His credits were 333 for the first semester and then 3432, 342 in the second semester. So this difference you can see here. I have differentiated the 2 semester by 2 different colors. And now what you do is you calculate the product of the grade point of the subject and the credit. So this 3 into 3 becomes 9, 3.933 into 3 becomes 11.799. This is how you are going in for calculating the credits. So we calculate the total of the credits. This comes out to be 42, and we calculate the total of the product, which has been calculated in the last column. That comes out to be 144.396, and divide 144.396 by 42, you get 3.438. So this is CGPA. So CGPA's cumulative grade point average, cumulation has happened for the first semester and the second semester. Now as the student progresses, we go in for adding the third semester, going for further calculating his products of credit and the grade point of the subject, go in for totaling the same, divide by the total number of credit, calculate the weighted mean, and you will find the CGPA. Finally, for the final semester, by accumulating all the grade points of the subjects and the credits, you will be able to calculate the CGPA till the end of the 6th semester for a 3-year course, or till the end of the 8th semester for a 4-year course. The process will remain the same. The formula will remain the same as highlighted here. So sum of the product of grade point of subjects and credits divided by sum of the credits. So this is CGPA. And again, the grading for the CGPA will again happen from this particular table. Where is his CGPA lying, between which interval? So final grade of the program will be given to him, right? So this is what I wanted to discuss as far as SGPA and CGPA and GPA were concerned. I hope you have understood this particular practical example. In the next part, I will give you some more examples which are slightly different from this. In this part, we have gone in for basically understanding relative grading, and you must have understood relative grading when you were listening to the movie of E-Pathshala. That relative grading goes in for comparing the student within the class, right? So you try to see the performance of the student relative to the best performer of that particular class, right? And if you are talking of comparing of one class with the other, then the both faculty members should sit together, discuss their mean, decide their grade which they are going to use for the mean, and the spread, how they are going to spread the grades across marks, with what interval. That should be carefully discussed, so that students doesn't get chance of blaming the teacher that one teacher has been lenient and the other has been strict. So that's all from my side as far as part 3 is concerned. Thank you very much, and see you in part 4 with some more examples.